to Ask the Patient Advocate podcast, where we will discuss all things related to navigating your health. I am Dr. Elena Borelli, and I'm so excited to talk about such an important topic of private patient advocacy. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together. All right, welcome to Ask the Patient Advocate podcast. I have Christine for this episode from our team today. And Christine, how are you doing today so far?
Doing fantastic. Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm excited for another episode. So today we are going to discuss a very common question, and that is patient advocacy worth the cost? And I get why this is such an important question because the cost of everything has increased. I actually went to the grocery store last week and grapes were selling for $9 a pound, which is shocking to me because I remember them for 99 cents a pound. And I saw that eggs are continuing to go up as well. Fun fact, actually, I started raising baby chicks, and it is such a great experience. I'm so excited that I did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I actually grew up around a farm, and I wanted my kids to experience growing up with baby chicks as well. So now we have about 6 baby chicks, and they're just about 2 weeks old. So it's super fun to watch them get bigger every day, and I'm really looking forward to future fresh eggs as well. So anyways, a little bit off topic. So let's talk about healthcare. So insurance is expensive all around. And I'm very knowledgeable and experienced with insurance policies and plan selection, given my many years of patient advocacy experience, as well as working in healthcare for so long. My current insurance policy premium for my family, even me knowing all of that information and, picking a policy that I feel is best for my policy alone has increased by almost $1,000 per month. That's $12,000 increase over a year. And I want to highlight that the word increase. So, of course, it's not that I'm only paying $12,000 a year. That's how much it's increased compared to last year. That's just the premium. It doesn't include the deductibles, the out-of-pocket payments, and so much more. So, oftentimes when someone hears private or independent patient advocacy isn't covered, they think, well, then why should I incur another expense? Like, what's the benefit actually going to be? So, that's a great question. But let's talk about why it's so worth the cost of hiring a private patient advocate. I can honestly talk for hours, shocking, I know, about why a patient advocate is so needed for various situations. But let's talk about medical bills specifically for this episode. In most situations, a patient advocate can actually save you money and help you end up with more money than expected.
Right. Okay, do you want to talk do you start talking about how we can help with medical bills?
Absolutely. So, have you ever opened up a medical bill and became wide eyed? Medical bills, even when they are expected, can be a lot to take in. It is also not uncommon to encounter some unexpected expenses. So, when we review your medical bills, we evaluate whether or not you have been correctly billed. That's the first step. And if the event occurs that your bill is incorrect, then we can carry out the necessary steps to fix the issue. But it's always shocking to clients how many billing errors we find. Research has consistently found that medical billing errors occur in at least 80% of medical bills.
Oh wow, that is such a high number. To think that you have an 80% chance that your medical bill may contain an error. And what's more is most often the bills contain so many numbers and codes and unknown words that a person hasn't the slightest clue of how to even try to understand if it is incorrect. So yeah, what are some common reasons for the medical bills being incorrect?
There's so many possible reasons for the error. I recently read that over 25% of medical billing errors are simply due to typos. Can you believe that?
Oh my.
I know. So other reasons are coding mistakes, which I personally see so frequently. I also see many issues with not properly applying insurance correctly, and there's so many more different issues that can occur. I recently actually had a male client that had received a bill for undergoing a hysterectomy. and the bill was over $30,000. He had tried calling the hospital himself and asking them to correct it, but he was ignored and told that the bill was correct. He kept calling and he wasn't getting responses. He came to me very frustrated that he wasted his time and that he just wanted to get this resolved. They had sent him to collections and he had collection agency calling him and sending letters to him, and it was really causing him so much stress and concern. And
Mhm.
surprisingly, I've actually seen this so many times, similar situations like this.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So, what did you do for this one?
So for this client specifically, I first reviewed the medical bill and associated hospital note with it. I then called and wrote an official letter to the hospital, and it was expunged or retracted from his medical chart. And then I received a written corrected statement with a zero balance, uh, and as well as a confirmation letter stating the charge was an error. So I used that information and I notified the collection agency, and that they were able then to update things on their end and stop calling him. Everything was actually finalized within a week.
Nice. Oh, I bet he was so relieved.
Yes, he was. He actually paid a total of $500 for us to eliminate his $30,000 medical bill. And he was
Nice.
so happy to have avoided the headache of trying to continue to deal with it, as well as wasting time and energy towards this whole process. For us, because we do this so often, it's so much quicker of a process because we know the route to take, as well as how to best get the errors fixed most efficiently.
That is really great. Oftentimes people think that if they work in the medical field or have a family who works in the medical field, then they would not benefit from a patient advocate. And I, of course, know that that is not the case. Do you recall the recent client we had who has a nurse and hired us to navigate her medical bill?
I do. She was a nurse that actually worked at the same hospital for over 20 years. And
Right.
she was supposed to have a procedure, but the surgeon had to cancel because something in his schedule, and the procedure never occurred. However, she received a bill for undergoing the procedure, even though it never happened. She was even charged for like anesthesia, medication administrations, like so many detailed charges. And she knew how cumbersome it was to attempt to fix the issue, as well as the time that she was going to put toward this matter. And she quickly was very happy to hire us. And she was very happy that she did in the end. We had it all corrected within 48 hours. It was actually funny because she gave us the case and then hopped on a plane for a long weekend vacation. And then when she came back, it was all taken care of. And I
Right.
remember, yeah, I remember her telling me how she was so happy that she was able to relax over the weekend and spend it with her family than having to worry and deal with this medical bill.
That's really nice.
Sometimes the medical errors, of course, are not that obvious, and many clients are pretty convinced when they come to us that the bills are likely accurate. But I would say for us, it's even higher than 80%. We typically find a correctable error in the medical billing after reviewing of about 90%. So 90 to even 95% of the time, we will note a correctable medical billing error.
Right. So what happens in the case where the billing is actually correct, but the patient can't pay it?
Great question. Well, it doesn't happen too often, but sometimes the bill is actually correct.
Right.
So if your bill happens to be correct, then we can negotiate the bill to accommodate more manageable payments. Our very first attempt will be to try to eliminate the bill completely. If that doesn't work, or if that option is not available, then we can try to negotiate the bill. We have many clients that have saved over $300,000 in medical bills, either one big bill or multiple bills combined. And even if you're dealing with a small bill, we can still help.
Definitely. I know sometimes people think they should wait till they receive a bill before we can help with medical billing. Can you talk about how that's not the case?
Yes, preventative planning is so important with everything, including medical bills. Many times we can determine pretty close what a medical visit, testing, or procedure will cost. And some things that we can help with are understanding your health insurance coverage, checking before you go to a medical visit to see if it's covered and then how much it's going to cost, assisting with prior authorizations, and so much more. It helps remove the headache of thinking of the unknown. For example, I'm going to see this specialist, but not sure what bill I'm going to receive afterward. You don't want to be in that situation if you can avoid it. I also don't recommend always taking the word of what you are initially told by a billing department, or even if a facility has something called a financial patient advocate that's hired, or part of that facility or hospital. They may tell you something is not covered or not approved, but oftentimes they're missing pieces of the complete puzzle or have not taken the final steps to get it approved. And I do deal with those departments often to really get things pushed through and clarify things and verify things so that they are approved. I have seen this happen all too much, especially in situations where you're trying to see a doctor specialized in your medical condition, or if you're considering a clinical trial. It is so important that a private patient advocate is assisting you so that you don't get shut out of potentially viable available options.
Yeah, that is a great point. We do see that quite a bit. And so what about picking an insurance plan or changing? Like when it's maybe not the best time for you. There are so many options and options within options, and it can be so overwhelming.
Yes, insurance coverage selection is another topic I can talk on for hours, but I won't, at least not today.
Yeah.
Um, are you having problems with insurance coverage? Perhaps you're currently not enrolled in the proper plan and the one you have isn't really working for you. Maybe you're paying a high monthly premium but realize that most of your care is not covered. Or your medications are too expensive, or maybe you don't have insurance. I mean, there's so many different possibilities. But Pathway Patient Advocates, we can help with that, with all of that. We can help determine what plan is best based on medical providers you see, uh, perhaps ones that you're going to see now or in the near future, and medications that you might need. Also, like I mentioned, if you were denied a certain procedure or medical treatment, we can help with that too. And we can go as far as, you know, if something is denied and then you come to us, or in the process we can help with appeals and really determine what is going on and what the underlying cause for its denial is.
Right. Most people say they do not like the hassle of dealing with insurance companies. So since you deal with insurance and billing so much, do you find it more enjoyable now?
Nope. I still think the system has so many flaws.
Yeah.
However, I know ways to navigate it best and the next steps to take. So every policy is different and it really requires a somewhat tailored approach to tackle the problem. And I do enjoy that aspect of that personalized approach for every case. Especially, I enjoy seeing the satisfaction of the clients afterward.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think we have reached the time. And yeah, tune in for the next episode of Ask the Patient Advocate.
If you have a question for Ask the Patient Advocate, email advocate at pathwaypa.com. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together.